let's get right to it. Wealth creation. Do you know how to acquire wealth? So what is wealth? Wealth could be an asset that helps you generate money, or a bunch of cash, so sitting somewhere, so it's either whatever you have, your portfolio or your assets that maybe your real estate investments or things like that, that then over time helps you generate recurring money, right? So let's just say cash. How do you get cash? Boatloads of it. Most of us, not just most of us, all of us, we're quite selfish. We think about only ourselves. Me, right? I want to make money for myself. But the real thing is, how you build a business is you have to be a little bit less selfish in terms of being able to think about other people and the pain points of other people, and then being able to say, that pain point, how can I meet that need? As long as you're thinking about yourself, people don't care about what's going on with you. Like, what they care about, and I'm sure you've heard this before, people care about how you can make their own lives better. And that's business. Business is about making other people's life better, providing value. So, part of what I want to also share is, what can you start doing to position yourself to start shifting if you know you want to create wealth for yourself or create value in the marketplace? Number one is, turn down that selfish mindset. Wealth creation is about serving people and meeting the needs of people, adding value, enough value that people are willing to pay you for that value. So that's step one, creating value enough for people to pay you. That's the foundation. In order for that to acquire wealth. Now, I'm not talking about financial people in New York buying stock, all of that. That's not what I'm trying to talk about. I'm talking about the real sector, the manufacturing, the distribution, all of that real sector that actually the New York people bet against, right? It's because the transaction that is really happening is what the banks and all that bank on. That's what keeps the economy going. So that the real sector is what I'm talking about now, is all of us, right? Is building a business around, I can provide value and I can tell you this value has this monetary implication and I want you to pay me for that, right? So, but to make that, so that's the foundation. To make that become more, then you have to do it enough times with enough people that it has a multiplying effect, right? So you can do it for one person, you can do it for 5 people, but can you do it for 10? Can you scale it to 1,000? Can you scale it to 1,000,000? When you can scale that value creation and that exchange, when you can scale it up, that's what starts growing wealth. But the reality is that for you to really be able to scale, it's quite scientific, right? There's some techniques, there's some people tried and true things that people do in order to sell, in order to brand, sell, market, distribute whatever value they're bringing to the marketplace. One of the things we used to talk about is customer obsession. What does that mean? Be obsessed with your customer's pain points, because the only reason you exist is because of that customer. So, question, who is your customer? And what do you know about your customer? If you have a business right now, how obsessed, how caring, how empathetic are you to the customer's pain point? Because guess what? The more you understand your customers, the more you understand their pain point, then you can quickly say, hey, I can serve you. And in exchange of my service or my product, you're going to, it's going to be so valuable to you that you're going to be able to pay me for it. Once you can come up with a formula, a winning formula, and to be honest with you, before you can create that winning sweet spot, before you reach that sweet spot, you have to try different things. The first attempt to put your message out there may not work. So you've got to tweak it. You've got to look at your branding. You've got to look at your marketing. You've got to look at your communication. And you've got to look at your customer service or the story you're telling, right? You've got to look at it from different angles. And that's the science of it. right? In the retail world, for example, you have scientists and lots of PhD people looking at human behavior, looking at patterns, looking at how you think. So for example, if you're walking into a store, you don't know the sound you're hearing or the color or things that the experience you're having physically is stimulating you to be hungry and to buy more. Oops. So there's a lot of science to it, and that's why I'm saying don't assume that you have all the knowledge that you need to create your business. So the first thing, before you even think about scale, start with one. Can you get one person to value what you're providing enough to pay you? If you can do that, can you do it for 10? If you're successful for 10, the next thing is applying science, techniques, business development techniques to be able to reach more people. So the biggest brands that we know are the biggest marketers in the world. Really? Yes, they're in your face constantly. They're telling you about what they're doing constantly. You think about them. They pop up on your TV, on your phone, probably in your dreams. You know, I'm kidding. But to be honest with you, when you think about the aspirational brands, I want an iPhone, I want this brand, I want this tennis, you literally go into bed thinking about how you're going to give your money to this brand because somehow their tennis shoe or their face cap is giving you this feel. It's science, and you too can apply that science to your business. The reason I'm sharing this is you're only going to perform at the level of understanding that you have, right? And in order to expand that level of understanding, you've got to expose yourself to knowledge, to people, to resources, to networks that represent who you want to be. That right there is really what this conversation is about. Is that creating wealth, there's a science to it, there are techniques to it, and it's going to be your duty to go find and pursue acquiring that knowledge, that expertise. Whether in real estate, go talk to people that have that expertise. People are making money in real estate, right? What do they know that you do not know? Whether it's in retail, in supply chain, in whatever field it is, you've got to become more open to coaching, to consulting. The biggest brands invest so much in coaching and consulting because it works. It improves your productivity, it improves your performance. The knowledge that you have all of a sudden opens you up. One thing that is great about America is the power and the influence America has on the world stage is that as many people as possible has been able to create and generate wealth for themselves, right? If only one person, like in Africa, if only one Dangote, right, is the only person that has attained a certain level of wealth in Africa, then Africa hasn't done what it can do. If it's only Alakija, the female wealthy billionaire in Africa, if she's the only one that you're seeing, then that means something is wrong. But if a common man, if somebody on the street can acquire the knowledge, skills, expertise needed, and can live in a community or in a space that encourages them to create value and to be able to provide value to people and to be able to scale that up and create wealth, that's a place we want to be. And that's why America, it's a destination for the dreamers all over the world. People like myself and others, we all dream of a place like that. And the idea of America was actually that, right? You can come to America, you can figure it out, you can partner with people, you can network your way to wealth. Not everywhere in the world has such going for it. And I recognize that.